Let us bring in NBC national security analyst Jeremy Bash, and Michael McFaul has served as ambassador to Russia during the Obama administration. Guys, good morning to both of you. Jeremy, let me just start with you. Is it essential, if President Trump wants to say this meeting was a success, is it essential that point blank he confront Vladimir Putin on meddling in the U.S. election?
Absolutely. He's got to go in there with a very strong message and say, we know what you did last summer. We're not going to take it anymore. It was unwelcome, and you better cut it out.
However, Ambassador McFaul, by his comments throughout the course of the last couple of months, and even yesterday, he said, yes, I think it was Russia, but nobody really knows for sure. Hasn't President Trump boxed himself in? Hasn't he given Vladimir Putin the perfect response to any accusation?
Well, in fact, they've already reacted to those comments in the Kremlin. One of his spokespersons said, we agree with President Trump that it is not clear who did this, and maybe other countries were involved. So that was a very inopportune moment to say that, precisely because I agree with Jeremy. If he wants to win Putin's respect, he has to be tough with him. He has to say, I know what you did. Now, when I'm president, you're not going to do it again.
Ambassador, you have been in the room many times in meetings with Putin. And
you and I were at the first Putin meeting together, right?
We were. Yes. I wasn't in the room. You were. What is it like with Vladimir Putin? I mean, what's his approach? Is he a poker player? Is he a chess player? And what is President Trump walking into?
Well, first of all, remember, he's been doing this for 17 years, right? Our president, this is his first bilat with the Russian president. This is his fourth meeting with an American president. He always comes prepared. He always does his homework. He has an agenda. He is seeking outcomes. And he does his psychological work about his interlocutor as well. Remember, he's a KGB operative. He used to do this for a living. And so he's going to come in with a game plan. And my suspicion is his game plan is going to be pretty simple. Donald, maybe he won't say Donald, but he'll say, President Trump, you and I, we can do great things together if you and I work together because we think the same thing. Now, the fake news people, the deep state, he's going to use those phrases. I've heard him use those phrases. They're our enemy. You and I can unite to do big things together.
I just want to, Jeremy, I'll get you back here in a second. I want to go back to something you kind of slipped in there. You said Vladimir Putin will respect President Trump more if President Trump goes right at him and says, I know you meddled. If he doesn't bring that up in a direct term, Vladimir Putin will sense weakness.
Think about the converse. Think about had the Americans or the Chinese done this in Russian elections. How do you think Vladimir Putin would react to that? That's what he expects from a strong leader. He thinks that he needs to push back, and let's make no mistake, Putin knows what he did in our election. For Trump to not bring it up, that's a sign of weakness.
Just to bring you back in, there are a lot of other topics. There's Syria, there's ISIS, there's North Korea and the threat they pose. What would be a headline, Jeremy, coming out of this meeting that would show that there's the possibility of cooperation between our two countries moving forward?
Well, there could be some discussion about deconfliction over the skies of Syria, but I got to say Russia has played a very unhelpful role in Syria, and I think the president needs to go in there with an equally message that says don't continue to prop up the Assad regime, don't continue to support Iran. We have some counterterrorism operations we have to undertake, but we need you to stop your nefarious activities in the Middle East as well as in Ukraine and in Europe.
And we're looking at this live picture. This is, of course, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel inside the summit room. We saw Vladimir Putin just a few moments ago. President Trump will be along as well. According to White House aides, the president doesn't have any set agenda. Now, it may be he's not telling us, and that's certainly within his purview to do so. But Ambassador McFaul, would it be smart to go in there and wing it?
No, because Putin's not going to wing it. Let me give you a concrete example. I fully expect Putin to explain all the bad things that President Obama did. In the first meeting that President Obama had with Putin back in July 2009, he spent the first hour complaining and explaining about the mistakes. And he's going to want Trump to react to that. President Trump needs to know what his response is, for instance, when Putin says those sanctions they put in place, they were illegal. President Trump, you should lift them. He's got to have a response. He can't just wing it. He's going to expect a response.
Real quickly, Jeremy, if we know one, these two guys have something in common. They have a few things in common. One of the things they have in common is, on occasion, they both play fast and loose with the truth. What happens if after this meeting, President Trump comes out and says, I confronted him on the election meddling, and Putin goes home and talks to his own people and his own press and says, never happened? What are we going to believe?
There's really no way to know exactly what will happen unless somebody takes detailed notes we may never know. I just want to add one thing, which is I think the president really missed a layup yesterday. He was asked by Hallie Jackson, yes or no, did the Russians meddle? He could have easily put that one to bed, and he did not.
I wish you guys could stick around longer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
Good to
for
see
having
you
us.
again.
Good to see you guys.
Appreciate it. And now